Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Podcast. Josh Lander here with a familiar face once again, Nate Weitzer, my man from the NBA Coast to Coast podcast that we've been doing now for about, I think, like 5 years or something ridiculous. We started like just on audio. Really at the end of 2019. But there was like a brief stint where we did this like random audio podcast for like 10 minutes and then we kind of moved it on to YouTube. So anyway, happy to have him here. We did not have the best night on Friday, but some of the best bets hit. First night of bad night with player props on the show. I gave out here 1-3 on the night. Take a look at the quick record for the season as well. Still up about 6 units here on the season for the last like 4 weeks or so that we've been keeping track of that, 5 weeks to be exact. So we'll move along here. I know Nate and I are going to bring up a couple of best bets. I mean, there's some player props in here. There's some sides as well. So I'll let you kick things off as the guest of honor, Nate.
Yeah, I mean, opening line 240, Atlanta at Cleveland with the Hawks on a back-to-back. I will take the under. Cleveland, without Evan Mobley, had been trending over, but now without Darius Garland for a while. And Craig Porter in there, going to be a more competitive defensive piece to throw at Trae Young and company. Karis LeVert, we'll see what we get from him in terms of trying to fill Garland's void offensively, but we can just expect a lot less offense from the Cavs. They scored 102.5 their first 5 without DG this year. Still hung around with a 107 defensive rating, went under in every game, all 5. The only high scoring one was with the Pacers. Cavs at home tend to go under, of course, much more so last year when they had a full defensive rotation of guys, mainly Isaac Okoro is who I'm thinking of, guys who can defend and cannot score. Now they have a little bit more offense going, but they've still only hit 240 all 4 times all season. All 4 on the road against elite offensive teams, OKC, SAC, etc. 6 of their last 7 home games against the Hawks have gone under. 4 of their last 5 matchups overall between these two teams. They're 9-4 to the under when they're on normal rest here. 7-4 after a loss. Just went under with the Celtics, in part because Garland injured in that game.
Right.
And what we just saw with the Hawks is they found a bit of a recipe for success by being a little more patient, not just like running up and down the court with their hair on fire, which had led to a 5-game losing streak and lots of overs and lots of fun. But, they actually got into the half court and made the extra pass, got a lot of team assists to beat Toronto, played at a 97 pace, 4 possessions slower than their first shootout with Toronto. And so on a back-to-back, you expect it to be a little bit slower. Their last back-to-back, the second leg, they only totaled 216 at Boston, which is an environment that has a ton of points. So yeah. I think maybe we go under here in Cleveland.
I'm with it. I love the context of the back-to-back for Atlanta. Who knows what Atlanta's like really what's going on under the hood almost. I don't necessarily know what they're trying to do all the time. I know Trae Young is going to get his in the half court, but I think for this one, that's a recipe for playing into Cleveland's defense. Also, they started Okongwu tonight as we're recording this on Friday. They started him in that game against the Raptors, and that also probably helped that slow things down a bunch, right? Like they weren't in there the whole time, but it definitely led to a lot slower, if you will, on offense. A lot of rebounds too. I think that worked for them. We'll see if they continue that, but it definitely will lead to some more unders. And if Mobley was in, I would say I feel like that's something they'll try again for the second night in a row. But either way, I think we'll still see plenty of Okongwu in a game that it should be a little bit more bruiser than what they saw with Toronto, which just is an anomaly to me. But I'll get to my first pick, another side here, which is the Golden State Warriors to lose. I'm going to take the money line. I'm also going to take the +3.5 for Brooklyn. But yeah, Brooklyn. And I felt that way before I started looking deeply into it. And then had a lot of my feelings and my convictions really they were what's the word I'm looking for here? Validated. Thank you. So the what I'm looking at with Brooklyn is like they're an isolation team. That's all they're going to do. They do it at the 3rd highest rate in the league because they have 3 of the top 20 most likely to be in the isolation players, and 2 of the top 10 in Dinwiddie's all the way up there as well, right behind obviously the machine, Cam the man, Cam Thomas, who's doing it the fourth highest percentage of possessions. So if you can't defend that, which we've talked about with the slow-footed Warriors, then you're in trouble. That's going to be that's what gave them a lot of trouble with Portland, was fast, quick guards who are really playing on the perimeter and then trying to get towards the rim. And that's what you're going to get here as well with a team that I'm actually really impressed with the way that they've been getting to the free throw line. The Brooklyn Nets. I thought it was going to be a lot of jump shooting and mid-range stuff, which is what their MO was when Kyrie and KD were there. And actually, they're getting into the paint a bit more, and I think that's going to continue to be a problem against this Warriors team, who really has to decide now with these lineups more than they ever did. Do we want rebounding with Kevon Looney in there, or do we want versatility with guys like Jonathan Kuminga in there, who are good offensive rebounders? It's a very good offensive rebounding team with Pajemski, even, who you'll talk about, and Kuminga, and when he's in their GP2, they're not a very good defensive rebounding team. They rely heavily on Draymond and Kevon to be in their defensive rebounding, which is when these two guys are off the floor, they have a really, really, really bad defensive. You can't have like a 55% defensive rebound rate. You have to be up around 72. And too often for the time when they're off the court, when both those guys were off the court at the same time, then they were down below 60% for some of these games in terms of their defensive rebound percentage. So yeah, they're just giving up a ton of offensive second chance points, obviously, as well, which bodes well for some of these tall, lanky dudes on Brooklyn. The fast break stuff is going to be there as well for them. I don't know what they're doing with these rotations, because when they do have their bench in, they have guys that defend the fast break a lot better and get back on defense, like Kuminga, Moses Moody, and the like, and Pajemski. When they don't, they just continue to give up those points. And they only gave up 9 against the Clippers, who don't fast break. But yeah, you can get anything you want going to the basket. And this Brooklyn team, even if they don't get out on the fast break, which I think they'll be able to, because I do think there'll be a good amount of missed shots for a Warriors team who is going to find it hard to get open shots when they're going to switch everything with like 5 dudes that are all going to be, very tall, essentially, for these, except for Cam Thomas when he's in there. But everybody for Brooklyn can switch on to guys, which is a big problem for the Warriors, as we've seen. I think the three, there's no reason they should be really giving points to anybody that's still in somewhat near the top half of the league, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to back the Warriors in their first game without Draymond here, the suspension, and didn't go very well. Steph, a rare dud. But
that's the problem, I think, though, is the Steph stuff. Like, I think you take a leaf out of Mike Brown's pamphlet and you just go ahead and triple him.
Yeah, nobody else. I mean, Clay got the Clippers for 30, but that still wasn't enough. Because Pajemski, a rare dud as well. I guess I'll say rare. I mean, it was the first start of his career, and he had 4 points. But I will take him to get 12 tonight. I think that's the most exploitable line here. You said there. I mean, the rotations are all over the place, but he got the start and played the most minutes on the team. So Steve Kerr, I mean, I don't see him as a panicky guy. I think he is committed to this young man and seeing what he can do for them, and benching Wiggs, because that's a much easier decision, right, than benching Klay Thompson, who is actually getting it going these days and is going to be vital for the Warriors to have any sign of success if they can get Klay going. So it looks like it's going to be Steph, Klay, and then Pajemski at the 3 for heavy minutes, and playing along those two guys. Even if they do switch a lot of things, like, you're going to get some opportunities for sure to get easy buckets. He's proven to be a bucket, in college, and then on a per 36-minute basis here in the NBA. I mean, he did hit 12 points in both his meetings against the Clips prior to this. I mean, he has been maybe finding more success playing against second units for sure. Like, there is a bit of a shock getting thrown into the front, the deep end there. I mean, the Nets are kind of a team that's just like 8 deep, and like I mean, yeah, like the Mikal Bridges is great, but they're just deep and balanced. Like, it's not like their second unit is much different or worse than the first unit. They have struggled badly on the road, and they're on a long West Coast road trip here. Struggled badly defensively, I must say. 125 defensive rating in their last 7. So, I mean, I just think he can get his points here. If he gets 35 minutes again, I feel very comfortable about the 12 points.
Yeah, if you consider the assist too, could possibly be there for him if like you said, what they need is really for him to be playing with the other scorers, and they need Jonathan Kaminga in there as well, because it just does so much more when you have the threat of a guy that you have to guard at least 17 feet out, unlike Looney, which really just ruins all of it for even a guy like Pajemski, who's often now in the corner in those situations or out on the wing opposite wherever Clay is, which is fine. He's going to get those open shots if he takes them. I do think there'll be something to the staff saying take them and don't pass them up. But the assists as well, like if he finds himself as the beneficiary of like Steph gets doubled and finds him, and now it's his 4-on-3. We'll see what he can do there for the young Pajemski, which is one of the most fun names to say. But I'll go to my second pick here, get into the Playa props and talk about Nikola Jokic over 12.5 boards. Also like him to probably get 15 plus, but man, it's juiced all the way down. Plus 155 is the best number I could get for him to get 15 plus. But like, I'm not going to complicate this. I was looking at the points, and I actually continue to feel better about under for Jokic points, the way that they have this constructed now at 27.5. I wouldn't dare do that, as like the whole thing about this matchup is, and what we were talking about briefly before I get on is, I asked you, like, is this going to be a situation where the stats hold true and everything that the Thunder are really good at, getting out into transition, keeping the pace up, and things that the Nuggets aren't that good at? They have not defended the fast break at all. They're giving the most points per possession in transition right now in the league. Is it going to be that, or is it just going to be Big Bro coming in and being like, no, this is our division. We beat you every time. That's what we do. We're going to continue to do that. We can score a lot of points. We can keep you from scoring too many. Like, I think that'll be a part of it. But so I do think there's going to be some missed shots. And OKC, I think they'll do their thing a bit on defense. They've been basically the best defensive team on the road this season. Obviously, it's a different beast when you go into Denver Saturday night, prime time. I think both of them care about this, is my thing. Like, I do think this will be a really intense atmosphere for a Saturday night in December in the NBA. And Jokic is going to be caring about that a lot. So I would never take an under for him in a situation like this, where I think he's going to be like, remind Chet Holmgren that like whatever he's doing to make the highlight reels isn't going to work in this game. Going to be one of those like, brother, I have 41 kind of moments that he had on Rudy Gobert that one time. And I think a lot of that's going to be him playing taps at the rim. That's why I love the rebounds so much, is like, oh, I missed it, tap. Oh, I'm holding Chet off with one arm while I just keep playing taps, because he weighs that, like one of his arms is stronger than Chet's whole body. So everything is going to be tailor-made for him to like keep the pace up. I keep talking about centers against this team to get rebounds, because they shoot so close to the basket. They shoot a lot of times, and that's exactly where Jokic is going to be standing to get those boards.
This was exactly where I looked at this game first. Is just like, what is Joker's points plus rebounds? Because I just think he's going to bully Chet all over the floor. That's where Denver has the advantage. That's why I would be worried about the Thunder being able to cover here. I mean, Denver is starting to hit that championship stride. Maybe they are going to stop doing things that are mental lapses, like allowing transition points and just kind of, flex their muscles. Like you said, just big brother them.
Yeah.
Last pick, I'll take Kobe White. I mean, talk about juice though. For 5.5 assists, it's like minus 160. I would just rather go up an assist for 7 assists. I mean, Miami has been shockingly bad defending point guards recently. I think you can also go 28.5 points in assists with Kobe, and then you get the normal juice here. He's been on fire with Zach LaVine out, basically, initiating the offense and just flashing extreme potential. In the last two in particular, the Bulls have started playing through him more, 25% usage and around a 40% assist rate against Denver and Miami. He had 26 and 11 in 40 minutes in this matchup on Thursday. We stay in Miami. Now he's gone over this prop in 6 of his last 7, averaging just 26 points and almost 7 assists. So the 28.5 points assist does not seem that hard to attain. Miami, like I said, just surprisingly giving up the most assists per game to point guards in their last 7 games here. 12 dimes just to point guards, third most on the season. Yeah. And they're giving up 29 points per game to point guards in that span too. They're allowing the highest assist to field goal ratio in their last 3 games here. Bam has been out for those 3. So definitely related here as far as just the anchor, the communication, everything you want on the back line. And I'll take Kobe White to exploit that.
Yeah, man. I mean, he seems like he's the real deal. I don't know if this is just going to be a weird one-off scenario, but my pie in the sky situation for this team is like get rid of everybody else that's keeping Kobe White from scoring and getting all of his stats so that we
Free
can just
Kobe White.
yeah, give me more Kobe White, man. Also, I don't know if you heard yet, but the Stacey King and company on the broadcast for the Bulls are calling him La Flama Blanca, which is
Nice.
such an awesome name for Kobe White. What a good dude, too, man. You got to root for him. So, look, I'm going to just give a lean for my final bet. It's late at night. I mean, I say it's late at night. For me, it's only 8 p.m., but it's later at night for most people in this country on a Friday where I'm assuming most people aren't sickos looking at stats for these NBA players for Saturday basketball. But my lean, honestly, is shy under 31 and a half. I want some form of under for him in this game. I do see this being a little bit tighter. Now, maybe it's not the points. It's probably closer to the assists. For me, in these situations, for him, like he goes at it and he's really looking to score. I'm scratching for it though. Like I do also, by the way, like having 5 bets. That was another thing that I learned by having Kareem on. I'm not supposed to say his last name. By having Kareem on is that like essentially he was talking about the idea of how many bets you make in a night and the volume and keeping it to 5 because you'd essentially rather lose like 1.1 units than have the opportunity to like win 0.2 like point, you know what I mean? Like there was basically a math that said you should have an odd number of picks. So I do like giving out 5 on the show. 6 sometimes is fine, but the lean here is strictly like just take Denver. It's like I said, I was trying to find an under for shy and I want to go that way, but just take Denver -5.5. I think this game will be like pretty fun and pretty close. But if you get them at about 5 or 4.5, another Kareem tidbit, the 5 is a really key number. Then go ahead and take that. I'm going to hit that at 5. Basically, you can still get some of those. I think it might go up. I don't know. I don't see it really moving, to be honest. I think 5 is like basically fair, but I like it. I like that odds. It's almost like taking a field goal to me in this situation. So I am going to take Denver with everything that we talked about. The only thing they need to do is get back on defense. And if they're making a lot of shots, which I think they will, I don't think there's going to be long rebounds that go to OKC's way the way they're used to. I do think we're going to have a good opportunity for Denver to like keep the Oklahoma City offense from getting out into space, and that's where they'll be able to contain them.
Yeah, I mean, they shut down Shy earlier this season on like
Yeah.
a Sunday afternoon. And that's basically why I'm scared to take the under. It's just like it's too much like just game log revision to be like, oh, okay. They have the sauce to stop him. And like, yeah, no, he's gonna bring it. He's a walking 30. The prop is only 31.5. So I'd be too scared of that. Yeah, I'd rather fade him by either going assists, rebounds and assists, which you've hit before on the under. Or by taking Denver to win because he is the offense for OKC.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, I like taking shy rebounds over in situations where there's going to be a lot of threes and long rebounds. Denver doesn't rely on basically anything too much. They just rely on the best player in the NBA, and that's a pretty solid bet. So that is all the time we have for you in this one. Big shout out to Nate for staying up late, making it out here with me. I appreciate it, man, always. We'll be coming back to you, looking to continue these. Also, check out the Coast to Coast podcast. Got to plug it. We're wicked hot in those NFL player props. For those of you checking out the weekend stuff, if you want some NFL picks, Nate is definitely the brains behind that operation. But we run through it together. So anyway, continue to follow along. Appreciate everybody that keeps subscribing to the page. We're climbing, baby. So much appreciated to all y'all. And until I see you next, happy betting.